Well, hi everyone. I'm AJ Willoughby. Glad to be back with you on another Monday night product training call. Tonight we are discussing Smart Sole and Trim and what's new. What's new about these besides the fact that we got boxes that look new. Now you may have seen the new box of the trim. Some of y'all may have been getting that for a little bit, but some of y'all, the new Smart and the new Trim, unless you just ordered in the last week or two, then you may not have seen it yet. But this is the new boxes for the trim, for the Smart and the Sole. I said Trim, but Sole and Smart. And inside these new boxes comes something a little bit new along with these. And we're going to talk about that tonight because that's what we do at M. We continually innovate, and it's all about making sure that things are always on the top notch, always improving to make sure that we always have the absolute best products. And you are never going to change the basics, but we'll always change it to enhance and make sure it has got the best what technology has to offer today. And to tell us about that, we have the head of M Global's Medical Advisory and Scientific Advisory Board, and that is Dr. Frederick J. Templeman. Dr. Templeman, so glad you're here with us tonight.
Good to be here.
So we got new stuff happening with the Trim, the Sole, and the Smart, and let's find out tonight what's going on, what's new.
The exciting stuff is that it's new and it's out there. Now, we have an adage. I call it an adage. I'm not too sure whether it's yet part of corporate lore, but if I have my way, it will be. And it was the theme of the January leadership meeting that we had almost 2/3 of a year ago. And what it was that there is no constant at M except improvement. And that means that while you have your products out and you're working with them and we're working with them, you may not be aware that we're attempting to make them better at all times. Now, the guarantee, of course, is that the product you have in your hand at the time that you have it is going to be the best that there is in that slot in the world. And this we can promise you, because while we are selling that product and it is the best in the world, we're working on the next version of that product. Now, it doesn't do you any good to sit and wait for it because you're missing the best product in the world while you're waiting for a better product. But there always will be improvements. And with regard to these three products, there is one element that we added in this new product called BioPerine. Now, BioPerine is not anything that is exclusive to M. And you will see that, for example, there is a product out there on the market called curcumin, which is an Indian spice, and it has an ingredient in it, turmeric, which is really very remarkable. In fact, I'll tell you truthfully, we're working on a couple of products containing it at the present time. But that product has just tremendous science about some of the things that it does to help the body when you're facing major life-threatening challenges, such as cardiovascular disease or cancer. But the nastiness about it is that there's never been a variation of that product, no matter how much people have tried, that could get above 1% bioavailability. So whether you're taking 700 milligrams, which is the standard dose out there, you are getting 1% of 700. And if you're taking a gram, you're getting 1% of that gram. And we just have not been able to make it absorb more effectively. So most of it heads out into the toilet. It means that you have wonderfully healthy feces if that's the case. But the fact is that this particular product has now come on the market and people are talking about it all over the place. Doctors, I'm just trying to think, Dr. Axe, Dr. Mercola, and a few others are saying, wonderful thing, and they're talking about this product, and all that they've done to it is add BioPerine. So how if they're adding just a black pepper extract, which is what BioPerine is, How is it that they're able to say that this is revolutionary? Well, BioPerine has been tested with pretty much every single element in the ingredient list that people use in their standard products in the supplement market. And depending on the individual ingredient, it will minimally increase the absorbability by 25%, and in some instances by up to 45%. Now, if you're only getting 1%, that doesn't bring you up to 2%, but it makes it a lot more bioavailable. Today, for example, I was talking to someone who has the new trim, and we added not only the BioPerine to increase the bioavailability of it, but we put it in a brand new ingredient, which is a polyphenol from the lychee plant, and it's been manipulated so that instead of 25 to 35 to 40 units in a chain, it's now down to 2 and 3 and 4, and that does a great deal for the bioavailability when these protein chains are very, very much smaller. Then they can be absorbed much more readily. And then we added the BioPerine. And she said to me, I don't know what's going on. I'm really kind of worried because I'm losing a pound a day. And I wasn't losing a pound a day before. And I'm wondering, do I have cancer? Is there something going wrong? Do I need to slow down? I told her, yeah, you need to slow down. And in her case, I suggested that she could eliminate one of the products that she was using along with the trim to be able to do that, because the trim is so much more potent now. And the trim has this wonderfully researched product, which has a trade name called oligonol. So when you look on your package, you're going to see oligonol in the list of the proprietary blend. But this is a product out of Japan, individually sold on shelves in the store for a lot more money than you will be paying for this complete product that we're giving you. And tremendous studies on weight loss. In fact, in a study that could never be done in North America because we wouldn't get permission to do human studies like this because of the radiation involved, what they did was took CAT scans of the abdomens of the people in the study, and they got a baseline because the CAT scan will highlight the abdominal, intra-abdominal fat, which is the terribly awful stuff that it is so hormonally active that it is busy cranking out all kinds of things that are going to make your arteries worse, going to hurt you if you haven't got diabetes and are on that way. It'll do a lot of bad things, that fat. Now, if you've got fat on your butt or on your hips, I talked to a lady once and I said, well, what can we do for you? And she said, I'm tired of people following me. And I said, well, what do you mean people follow me? And then she slapped the back of her thighs and she said, these guys. And but that fat is perfectly benign, all right? It may get in the way when you're trying to do some certain things, but it isn't the terribly dangerous fat that there is under your belly button. Anything that's intra-abdominal is really very, very bad for you, and it contains more toxins, by the way, than the ordinary fat. But I encouraged her not to lose a pound a day. I think that's way too much. You're going to be releasing all of the toxins in the fat that you have stored that your body has not been able to get away from. And they store it. The body stores those toxins in the fat so that when you're eating a pound of your own fat, so to speak, you are releasing all of those toxins. And that needs to be done at a reasonable rate. Even though you may have a lot of yourself that you don't want, nonetheless, you still have to be careful about how you say goodbye to those pounds. And so with the BioPerine and the new trim, with this new ingredient that we've added in there, we now have a product that's totally standalone. It doesn't need anything else. I mean, a lot of people are using core and they're using burn along with it because the mangosteen in the core has about 4 studies that show that it really makes a difference in obesity. And of course, we have the tremendous elements that we put in the we didn't put it in, but the maker of the burn put it in. And that is something which raises your sense of alertness. And when your sense of alertness is raised, it isn't for food, it's for danger and other things. And so you are going to lose your appetite significantly, and that's a satiety dampening product. So we have now two standalone products. The trim has always been marketed as a companion for the core, but now it's very standalone, and it is the one that people who are trying to lose a few pounds, or they may just fluctuate into an area where they become psychologically uncomfortable with how much they weigh, and then they want to get back where they feel more comfortable, a few pounds up, a few pounds down, and that may be a picture in their life, and not a bad picture, but the trim is the way that you do that. The trim rather, is a standalone product. Now, I would suggest that anybody who's interested in maintaining their health and is still wanting to keep an eye on the scale, that the trim and the core are a perfect combination to use. Now, that's why the trim is so much better. That's why I'm getting calls from people saying, hey, what's happened? What's new? Well, what's new is you've got this tremendous new ingredient and the BioPerine in the trim that is now making it a very striking standalone product. It does not need to be used with the burn. It'll stand alone. It'll make a big difference for people who are trying to lose weight. Now, let's go to the Smart. The Smart has always been, other than the mangosteen, which obviously makes the core my favorite product, the Smart has been the one that attracted me most. When I came on, this product already existed, and it is a product which is in a category where supplements are catching on a little of nootropics, which is something that's going to manipulate the strength of your brain and what you can do with it. And these people started out by being airplane pilots and people who were in key military positions and had to be able to extend their alertness beyond the normal bounds of time, but also to be able to remain at an alert status and have hand-eye coordination that went with it. They started to use that. They were the first ones to use it. After that, it was largely the CEOs in Silicon Valley who know how to find well-kept secrets, and they began to use these things. But right now, nootropics is very hot, starting to come onto the market in the stores, but always only with what I call label powder. In other words, power. They have the elements written on the side of the package that would attract your attention if you knew what to look for in a nootropic, but the amounts that they have in there are infinitesimally small, and therefore there is not really a measurable effect from the product. Now, in our proprietary blend, we have L-theanine, which comes from green tea, and which has got dozens of studies behind it about how it improves the performance of students in examinations. We have Bacopa monnieri, which is an old Chinese herb. And when you get something that's old and has been through the mill for centuries, you know you've got something good. It's much better than a bunch of randomized controlled double-blind trials, which are the gold standard for today. But in my mind, when millions of people have used it for centuries, it's obviously valuable, it works, and it isn't going to kill you. We have ginkgo biloba, a household word, virtually. People know and understand the vasodilatory effects of that and how it relates to increased memory for people with Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. It will pick them up in the morning when they're normally fairly sharp and get them almost back to their highest functioning point. But at night, when they start to sundown, when the stimulus becomes a little bit less, you give them some of this, and they really will find that the body can use these elements, the ginseng that's in there, the inositol, and finally the huperzine. And this is what I want to talk to you about. Huperzine was the element in this, the ingredient in this product that attracted my attention, because in several countries of the world, huperzine is available only by medical prescription. Now, I don't imagine that that's going to happen here because we really have a well-ingrained tradition that supplements can be very strong. And the huperzine was doubled when I got a hold of the product and took a look at it and some of the studies that were out there. I wanted to have exactly the same amount of huperzine in the product for daily use as was used in the studies, that if you can go and look them up on PubMed and you want to go and look and see what the effects were, it preserves the neurotransmitters, keeps them going longer, stops them from being degraded as rapidly. And this goes across the board on all those monoamines, which are things like serotonin, norepinephrine, GABA, dopamine. All of them are made from the same basic stuff and tweaked by the brain and the body to have specific function. But the huperzine across the board keeps those at a higher level. Now, when you want to take a sledgehammer to a small problem, you end up taking some Prozac or other prescription medications that are so overprescribed and really do the same thing, but do it on a level that causes enormous side effects, whereas the huperzine itself does not. And we added the BioPerine to this product as well, again, to get what I have read is about a 32% increase in the absorption of the huperzine. So how has the SMART been changed? The SMART now has the amount that was used in all of the clinical trials to be able to determine its effect in human beings and animals. And in the other area of it, bioabsorption, we have put the BioPerine, which is going to increase by 32% in the huperzine's case and by up to 45% in the Bacopa monnieri ingredient. It's going to increase the bioavailability of that. And remember, the inside of the gut is still the outside of the body. If you can't get it across the intestinal wall, it never is in the body per se, and it's on its way out of the body. So those are the two that we have got the most striking results with. But Soul, which is my favorite, and I stack it 3 times a day with the core, Soul is improved as well, primarily by the BioPerine. So it didn't quite get the shot in the arm that we gave the other two because we added stuff to the other two. What we did is put the BioPerine out there in a product that sells extremely well. As a matter of fact, it's always in short supply on the shelves because it is so popular. A lot of the reason for its popularity is the tremendous taste. I mean, mixed with any of the other products, as we call them, stacking, if you stack with the Soul, you never lose out. And because the stimulant, even though it does have a stimulant effect, because the stimulant effect is so modified, you can even drink it when you're ready to go to bed at night and it's not going to disturb sleep. So that's what happens after you've had a fight with your teenagers and you're going to bed and they're already sawing logs and you're trying to get to sleep. Take a Soul and an M3Z and you're on your way. The Soul will look after some of the, the upheaval that you're feeling emotionally, and the M3Z will just zap the serotonin enough to be able to let you get to sleep. So those are the 3 products that we have changed. And as again, I'm telling you, and I know that Ryan might not like it, but he doesn't listen to my Monday night calls. So the fact is that we're always changing the products, even though we have really the very best ones that are on the market. We're always looking to make them better. And right now, what are we working on? Oh, can I tell them, AJ?
You can give a few hints.
Okay, we've got 4 new products that are in development. Now, how many of those will make it into the lab, which is our testing area for commercial viability? I can't tell you. But what we're doing now is getting them in a format that we can start testing, hopefully the 1st of September, in our test group of 35 people who go thumbs up, thumbs down. If they go thumbs up, it gets into the lab. They go thumbs down, it just is a good idea whose time hadn't come. So we've got a couple of things for the gut that address the extremely important issues that have been coming to light about the relationship between the bacteria in the gut, called collectively the microbiota, and the rest of the body. The fact that they act as defense elements in the immune system, that they produce antibiotics, that they produce neurotransmitters. You may be surprised, for example, because most of us know that serotonin is a neurotransmitter, but what we don't know is that 90% of it is produced in the gut and only 10% in the brain. So we get these tremendous boosts from all of our 7 trillion friends who live in our gut, and we want to be able to feed them the correct stuff. So we're looking at prebiotics, and we also want to send friendly relatives down to them, which are probiotics. And so that's where we're looking and working. We're also looking at the idea that occasionally it's not a bad idea to help nature along and have a nice flush with things that are going to support your liver and your kidney function at the same time that they will get you to the bathroom for a 2-pound weight loss. So the fact is that we're working on a lot of things, and I'm excited about what we've got. We're working on a collagen product. Actually, I've got 3 companies preparing collagen products for us, and one of them is so striking that I want to talk about it right now, but I can't. I can't. Just know that we're looking out for your interest. So we have things that are going to sustain the gut, things that are going to help your skin and your joints and your muscles and everything else that goes along with it, that I'm already looking at new ingredients for the smart and the soul. And if they turn out to be as good as I hope they will be, then you'll have an even better product when we get it done. Don't stop buying it or using it simply because I tell you that it will be getting better. Because the one thing that's always the same is they're always getting better. Thanks, AJ.
Absolutely. All right. So to sum up, the big things are the BioPerine, which is what helps the bioavailability, the absorption rate in your body to where you actually absorb more of it. Correct?
That's correct. And it does
right.
it in 3 distinct ways that I won't bother going into because they're rather complex.
And then the other is the huperzine that you were talking about, which is an increased amount of huperzine. Now, I'm not sure I totally understand, though. What does huperzine really do? Why do we need huperzine?
Well, we need huperzine when we've got the blues, we're down in the dumps, we've got brain fog, which is a real thing, or we may have an electronic fog when we've got so many rays running through our bodies and we've got routers and earplugs and things and everything all around us, because it allows the body to use the neurotransmitters which are required for all information to be transmitted from one neuron to the next, and for the formation of memories and things of that nature. It allows them to hang around at a higher level than would normally be the case. Not to the point of a medication, but the process is not dissimilar and without side effects.
Absolutely. And the one thing that we want to remind people, when taking the trim, be careful in taking the trim because you might lose weight too fast.
That's correct. Don't carry the sticks in your pants pockets, because when your drawers fall down after you've lost weight, you've lost your trim too, and
Exactly.
and your dignity.
Exactly. That's a horrible problem. By the way, I think I ordered 3 more boxes while we were talking there. I just want to save the world from it.
Yeah.
Dr. Templeman, thank you so much. Appreciate you sharing that with us tonight. Everyone, go make sure that you've got brand new product and tell people about it. And don't forget, calls going on all the rest of this week. Calls tomorrow night, business calls, and then we've got calls tomorrow night, calls Thursday night, calls Saturday morning. So they're happening all week long. You can go to empowerplan.com/calendar to see the list of all the different calls that are happening, and then also the M Network YouTube channel, which will have the recordings, and that way you can stay on top of what's happening. Thank you so much, Dr. Templeman.
You are welcome. Always welcome, AJ.
Everybody, have a great night. We'll talk to y'all next week.